A few weeks ago I managed to get the quest for the Malfeasance and I spent a good few hours trying to get it completed. So that's what this video is about basically, is my opinion of the weapon, and I'll start off by telling you how to get the weapon. So if you are interested in getting the Malfeasance in Destiny 2, the first thing you're going to need is Forsaken, because it's a gambit weapon, so you're going to need Forsaken for it first off. And then the first step of the quest, technically, or the first step that you have to do to get the quest, is to beat the Primeval Ascendant Servitor, the Ascendant Primeval Servitor. So play Gambit, I think during non-max curse weeks, so when it's not week 3 in the Dreaming City, it has like a 5 or 10% chance of spawning, and whenever it is week 3 it has about a 20% chance of spawning, so it's the exact same chance during week 3 as any other Primeval to spawn whenever it's week 3 of the Dreaming City curse. So that's all fine and dandy. At the moment it is week 3. If I upload this before Tuesday, it is week 3 in the Dreaming City, so you're better off doing it now. So the first thing you will get from the Primeval Servitor whenever you kill it in Gambit will be the Seething Heart, and it'll basically tell you to go talk to Drifter. You talk to Drifter, he tells you some stuff, and then he sends you on a quest to go kill 25 taken mini bosses or bosses. So the best way to do this is basically just kill taken bosses that have names. So if they have an actual name, they're not just like Taken Ogre or Taken Knight. If they actually have a name, then usually it'll count towards the quest. It did take me a wee while because I wasn't dedicated after, I wasn't just going after Taken, I was just playing the game normally. But the best way to do this is to play Shattered Throne, to do the Corrupted Strike, and to do Lost Sectors that have Taken in them as well. So there's a few Lost Sectors in the week that have Taken bosses at the end, so I would recommend doing that. The Corrupted Strike works pretty well as well, and then Shattered Throne is probably the best way to do it. So yeah, but 25 runs through a 25 run throughs of a public event, actually, the Blight public event, or Lost Sectors and that sort of stuff will count as well. So do it however you think you should, but basically just kill taken bosses that have names, and that's generally how you'll get it done. I think the next step is talk to Drifter, and then you have to complete a special version of the Corrupted Strike. It'll be, I think it's like a 600 or a 580 version of the strike or something like that. So if you go to the Dreaming City, you go to, I can't remember what it's called, but you go to just outside of like the watchtower thing, basically, and then there'll be a marker there which allows you to start the strike. I'd recommend it doing with someone, however I managed to get to the boss fight by myself, so it's not too difficult, and my friend joined and we killed the boss together. But if you're anywhere close to that light level, the recommended light level, you'll probably be okay. So it basically takes you, I'm going to try not to spoil stuff, but it basically takes you to a hidden area in that strike, and then there's a special boss at the end. It isn't the normal boss, it is a different boss, and when you get to the double ogre thing where it goes between the Ascendant Realm and the normal realm, after you kill them you'll stay in the Ascendant Realm instead of teleporting back out via portal, and it takes you to a grave, or technically a grave, and then you have to kill a boss. And you might know what I mean if you have read the lore, but that's basically what it is. It takes you to a grave, and that's about it. So you kill the boss there, you get some lore, you hear stuff, and then you talk to Drifter, I think, after. He tells you stuff as well. Then you have to play Gambit. There's actually 2 steps after this. So the first one is play Gambit, and it requires you to get 10 wins and also bank 500 moots. The moots one will just give you percentage, but it is actually 500 you have to bank, which is fairly easy. Like, I was able to get almost 100 pretty much every match, so it took me like 6 or 7 matches to complete that. And then winning matches was a lot more difficult because I was doing it solo, so it took a lot longer to complete that. However, go into the Destiny app if you're struggling and find a fire team to play Gambit with, and you should be okay. But you'll get it done eventually, and it took me a wee while, but I managed to get it done. And the next step after that is possibly the most difficult one, arguably. It requires you to actually do something other than just playing Gambit. So, if you're like me, you don't really invade very often. I tend to hold back, gather moots, and that's why I tend to have nearly 100 moots every match, because I just use tether to tether loads of enemies, tether the boss, tether enemies, get moots, bank them, and then do primeval damage. I literally never invade, because my teammates usually are a bit more eager to do that. So the last step was a struggle for me, because the last step is kill 25 enemy guardians, and then there's two steps, well there's two criteria for this step. The first one is kill 25 enemy guardians. The other one is have a teammate kill 4 guardians in a single invasion 3 times, or do it yourself once. So I managed to get, so basically I was playing Gambit. I managed to get the 25 kills relatively easily, because even if you're getting 1 kill per invasion, it's literally like 25 invasions and you'll eventually get it done. I ended up getting about 22 invasion kills done, and then I had 2 teammates that managed to get 4 kills in 1 invasion, so I needed 1 more teammate to do that, or I could do it myself. I actually managed to get Queenbreaker like a match or 2 before I finally did this, and then I went in and did it myself. So it wasn't too difficult to do. If you've got something like Sleeper or Queenbreaker or something like that, then it really shouldn't be too difficult. Queenbreaker is pretty good. So basically, use your super, like Arcstrider, Nova Warp, something like that. I'm sure Titans have some good ones as well. Basically, all of them are good for Titans. So use your super, use your power weapon, and you should be okay. You should get it done. Or just rely on your teammates to do it. You know, maybe you've got a friend who always gets 4 kills when invading, which I do, but they were playing Red Dead at the time, so I couldn't really have them help. But eventually I got that done, and then you shall get Malfeasance. If you go back to Drifter, he'll give it to you, and he'll also talk to you for a bit. So that's that. So I'll go on to the actual weapon, because I've kind of went over the steps decently. Obviously look up a guide. Destiny, Reddit I'm sure has a guide, and you can look it up and all that stuff. But you only have to kill this primeval servitor once. You can also get a sparrow and a ship if you did twice and 3 times. So yeah. Now, there are 5 perks for this gun. Yeah, all exotics have like 5 perks. So the first perk, which is the exotic perk, is Explosive Shot, and this says that it shoots tainted slugs that burrow into the enemy. Stacking enough slugs causes them all to explode. So if you shoot an enemy 5 times, you will have planted 5 mini mine things in them, and whenever you shoot the 5th shot at them, they'll explode, and they actually do loads of damage. Whenever Malfeasance was first out, it was pretty subpar. I don't think the shots did much damage, and the explosions didn't do much damage either, but the explosions do loads of damage. Even against enemies that aren't taken, it does loads of damage, and it's honestly one of my favourite hand cannons. The second perk is Corkscrew Rifling, which says it's got a balanced barrel, slightly increases range and stability, slightly increases handling speed. Pretty irrelevant considering there's nothing really to compare it to. Extended mags, this weapon has a greatly increased magazine size, but reloads much slower. Greatly increases magazine size, greatly decreases reload speed. I think it is 14 bullets in a mag, which is pretty good for a hand cannon in fairness, so it's pretty decent. The next perk is Taken Predator, which says bonus damage against taken enemies and Gambit invaders. And then Heavy Grip is the 5th and final perk, and this grip is weighted for recoil control. It increases stability, decreases handling speed. All in all, it's a pretty decent weapon. The main perks to keep an eye on are the fact that if you shoot an enemy 5 times, they will explode with 5 explosions because of all the shots you planted in them. And then the other perk is Taken Predator, which does bonus damage against Taken and Gambit invaders. I think it can 3-tap Gambit invaders, and it also does loads of damage to the blockers in Gambit as well. So it does loads of damage to Taken. It actually does really well against normal enemies as well. Just because it does more damage to Taken doesn't mean you can't use it against other enemies. It does obliterate everything. So I actually really like it. It might be my favourite hand cannon in the game, and yeah, I really like it. We'll go on to the look of it next. So in game, you'll see me using the ornament on it, which is called Aim to Misbehave. It makes the gun look all Taken-y and stuff, and I think it looks really cool. You can get it from Eververse, I think, and I'm sure they'll sell it at some stage, but I managed to get it from an engram, so it's pretty decent. And it looks really cool as well. The gun, literally, there's no logic behind how it works, but then again, is there logic behind any gun that works in Destiny? The gun looks really cool. I think the lore of it, which I think I'll just read it out, because usually the lore behind it is interesting. I think I may as well read it out, because usually I just leave it on screen. Your Drifter basically leaves you a note for the weapon, and it's what he tells you whenever you get the gun, but I'll read it out anyway. So he says, "Yes, I wrote you a note. I want you to burn this into your memory. If you're wielding this gun, I've already told you all this and more, but I want you to keep it fresh in mind. I want you to have this. You may need it. You and I have done a lot together in this system, and I hope and pray we'll get to do a lot more. It'll be a lot safer with you wearing one of these. It's a culmination of a lot of things. A long time ago, I set out to find a replacement for a weapon called Thorn. This will never be that, but to me it's better. We built it together. And all of us with this in hand, even the man with the golden gun, should have pause. Maybe we can't outshoot him. Maybe he can't be outshot. But if we all take our shot together, we don't have to beat him. He'll die too. Remember this for when the day comes. Signed, the Drifter. So what this means basically is that Drifter says at the end of the quest that you're part of his crew now, and if you have the Malfeasance quest completed, you're part of his, and that means that whenever the man with the golden gun, aka Shin Malfer, comes and wants to kill him, that you're meant to protect Drifter. Obviously, I don't think our Guardian really is locked behind any sort of loyalty here, because keep in mind our Guardians killed like hive gods and stuff, so I don't think Drifter really imposes any sort of threat on us. So yeah, but yet again, I think it's kind of whatever. And plus, from the lore books, as far as I can tell, Drifter has a deal with Shin, but he doesn't realise it's Shin he has a deal with, because he doesn't actually know the guy's name. So it's a bit strange. So Drifter thinks Shin is after him, but then he's actually talked to Shin and they're kind of friends, but he doesn't know they're friends because he doesn't know the guy's name. It's a bit strange, but if you've read the lore books about the Drifter that you get from Gambit, you'll kind of understand it. That's that. So the gun, in my opinion, looks pretty cool. The perks of it are pretty good as well, and I think the lore behind it is pretty decent too. So how does it perform in PvE? It is pretty good. I said it basically obliterates everything. It does a lot of damage to bosses, surprisingly enough, taking bosses especially. It destroys things in Gambit, especially taking blockers obviously, and it does a lot of damage to them. It's kind of like Wish Ender in that respect, because Wish Ender does a lot of damage to taken too, but this one does more, if anything. Although I haven't used Wish Ender since they've been buffed. It does a lot of damage to basically every enemy in the game, so in PvE it's definitely a very good gun. I haven't used it in Crucible, but in Gambit obviously it does more damage to invaders, so if you're playing Crucible, I cannot give you an opinion of the gun because I do not use it in Crucible, so I actually can't tell you. I'd say that the 5-shot explosion perk is wasted in Crucible because it probably would take 5 shots to kill someone in Crucible. However, in Gambit obviously it melts invaders at 3 taps them, at most at 3 taps them, might 2 tap them, and then it does a lot of damage to blockers and also kills things pretty fast in terms of normal enemies as well. So it's really good, and the Shattered Throne animation is pretty good as well, and for any taken activity, especially Blind Well, whenever it's taken weak, it works really well too. So it works really well in any PvE activity, however it works especially well against Taken and in Gambit especially, so that's that. Personally, I would say the gun is well worth the grind to get it, because initially it wasn't very good. Initially the gun was pretty subpar, it needed a buff, but they give it a buff and it is pretty good now. So I would say if you're contemplating getting the Malfeasance, I would very highly recommend it, especially if you do play Gambit. Even if you don't play Gambit and you can tolerate playing it for the quest, I would recommend getting it as well, because it's good for things other than Gambit as well. It's good in normal PvE, and I honestly really love the gun, so that's that, I would say. The gun is one of my favourite exotics in the game. It's quite strange, because my favourite exotic at the start of the game was Sunshot, and it kind of moved to Warcliffe Coil, to Sleeper, to Whisper, and then to this gun, so it's a bit strange, but I would say my favourite guns in the game are now tied between Whisper of the Worm and this gun, which is quite ironic because they're both taking weapons, technically, so yeah. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, maybe even subscribing, and I shall see you in the next one.